Hello everybody, how is it going? My name is Lucas, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast. I think I'm actually going to go with, I have a title this time, so I think I'm going to call it the Cajun Guitar Gear Podcast, because I am a Cajun, I am from Southern Louisiana. I think that's kind of the title I'm going to go with, so we're going to kind of go there. We got a lot of cool things to talk about. Kirk Hammett has a new Epiphone out. Beatles released their final song ever. Two Notes released some cool stuff. So you know what? Let's jump right into it. So the very first thing we're going to be talking about here, for those of you who are watching, we are going to be checking out Kirk Hammett's new Flying V guitar. Now this is through Epiphone. So obviously that Epiphone is Gibson's budget brand. So things, you know, they're going to be toned down a little bit when it comes to like crazy things, but it's the 1979 Flying V. It's priced at $1,300. You can get it in purple or you can get it in black. And personally, I think this is a little overpriced. I love the fact that Epiphone is making Kirk's guitar. Kirk's the reason I play guitar. I love Kirk Hammett. I'm not a big fan of V's personally, but I think they're cool. I never really played one and they look kind of uncomfortable. You kind of can't really play them when you sit, but I think they're cool. Okay, $1,300. That's hard for me to swallow. These are made in China, just so you know, some people do kind of care where their guitar is made because you kind of know what to expect quality-wise. $1,300 for a Chinese-made guitar, that's hard for me to swallow. I mean, I understand Epiphone has to pay, you know, some money to Kirk because it's his signature guitar. I feel like this guitar should be like $1,000. Personally, I feel like it should be $800, but I could swallow $1,000, but $1,300 is a lot. It does have a mahogany body. The neck profile is a rounded C with a volute. It's 24.75 inch scale. The fingerboard is Indian Laurel. It has nickel, medium jumbo frets, Graphtec nut. It has Gibson. It's a Gibson custom pickups. It doesn't exactly say. It has white pickguard on both of them. On the purple metallic and the black, you have 2-volume master tone and an orange drop capacitor. That's what it says. I'm reading from 3-way toggle. I know this is a story that I'm kind of leading the podcast with. You kind of getting what you expect. It's Flying V. The hardware is not. You have Grover Rotamic with a spade, with spade buttons, so it's not locking. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a Chinese-made guitar, which I know that's probably gonna rub some people the wrong way the way I said it like that. And some people are like, no man, you can't judge where it comes from. You have to play it. Epiphone is Gibson's budget brand. I played an Epiphone when I was in college. I had a 335 hollow body, which I liked it. It was pretty decent for the price and everything, and it was good. I ended up trading it, but $1,300 is a lot, man. I know some people have already bought them, and I saw one on Facebook. Someone bought it and the neck was damaged, and he had to end up sending it back. And Epiphone, they typically have a better reputation than Gibson when it comes to their stuff sometimes. But anyway, that is where I'm gonna leave that on the Kirk Hammett guitar. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below if you are watching on YouTube. That is a little side note. I think once I actually get a name for the podcast, then I'm gonna start putting it on, you know, like Apple Podcasts, so that you can download audio only. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the Beatles released their final song ever. So let me kind of give you the backdrop on that. Back in the 90s, the surviving members, Ringo, Paul, and George, got together and they kind of tried to make a song around like a clip, a little recording that John had made, but he did it with a piano. They couldn't really pull his voice out, or you know, they couldn't really isolate his voice. But fast forward to today, with a lot of plugins, you can kind of cancel out a bunch of noise and you can isolate a bunch of stuff. So they isolated John's vocals, they took his chord progression, and they made a song around it. I think George's guitar parts are in here too, because that's when they like were working on it on the 90s, but obviously George died, RIP. So they kind of took that and they kind of melded it together. John's chord progression is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds kind of cool, but the song itself, I guess they had to kind of piece it together from like random things, and the song is okay. A lot of people complaining that the song is like really loud and really like loud and in your face when they mastered it, which I agree. And they do have a lot of strings in it, so the strings, they're a big focal point of it, I guess, to kind of add some like excitement into it. But the video itself is kind of cringe, because so you have Ringo, and I'm on the video for those who are just listening. I'm on the video, and they're showing clips from the 90s, and they have with Ringo, Paul, and George. They're trying to get it along, but then like they cut in a bunch of like older stuff, but then like they cut into Paul and like Ringo singing in front of a mic, but then like they have like this like AI John, and he's like doing all this cringe stuff, and like it's just kind of weird. It's just the video is just kind of cringe. I mean, I get it. This is their final song, and they have some video whenever they were tracking the strings, and then they have like John. John is like at the conductor's podium, and he's doing a lot of cringe stuff. It's really weird, tell you the truth. And then like they have like all these older cuts of them when they were like younger and dancing around. I mean, it's all right, but I don't know. All of this kind of came off as cringe to me. It is kind of cool that they're sitting. John, I get their names mixed up. So Paul has said that this song is kind of like it's a farewell to both John and to George. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's John's last song," but Paul was like, "Yeah, this is a farewell to George too." George is like my favorite Beatle, and I think he's the best Beatle, and he always got the shaft for everything because John was just the biggest piece of shit and just kind of bullied him a lot of the time. I don't have the fondest take on John Lennon, to tell you the truth. I think he's kind of an asshole, and he was kind of at fault for the Beatles breaking up because he was with everyone's favorite front lady, Yoko Ono, and he ended up dooming the Beatles. I'm a big fan of Sgt. Pepper. That's kind of like my favorite like Beatles thing. It's kind of the only thing I'm really a fan of when it comes to them. As far as the final song, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit here. I think it's okay. I think it's cool what they did. They brought back John's demo from forever ago, isolated it, put it here. Production-wise, I think they made some very interesting choices. I forgot the guy's name who did it. It was Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson is the one who pulled he got the audio together, him and his guys. So that's the same dude who did Lord of the Rings, and he did the video. I think it's cool. I just think the orchestration of it is weird. It's really loud. Anthony Fantano did a review of it, and he kind of, I don't know, he said things all big and boomy, but I guess it's nice. I'm just gonna say it's nice. We have one final Beatles song. We can send George and John off into the sunset with their final contribution to the Beatles' legacy. What do you think about the new Beatles song? Let me know. Now let's move on to some more gear away from some songs, and something I was really surprised about is that Two Notes, hailing from France, they do a lot of, like my Revv amp behind me, they have their load box built in it with IR so you can put it right to your computer. They launched their Opus. So what this is it's an all-in-one IR and guitar sim all in one little bitty box. So this is kind of based off of the cabin. What the cabin was it was portable IRs right there in a pedal. You can have it right on your pedal board. You can run it to front of house, which is really nice because they give you lots of flexibility. This is really awesome because all you really have to do is you can bring your pedal board to a gig. You can plug into the front of the amp, or you can plug into like the return of it. You literally have a rig right there on your pedal board, and it's about the size of a pedal. It's really not that big. It's about the size of a medium-sized pedal, I guess you could say. And you have you have 4 amps in it. You have like a Vox, you have a 5150, it has bass in it, and it also has acoustic IRs in it. So what you can do is, if it basically dresses up an acoustic guitar, like this is like really awesome. So like for my EP, I recorded a cover I'm doing, but I used acoustic guitars for it, and I just did it with the mic I'm talking on, right? And that can be kind of cumbersome because like the mic picks up any little thing, like any noise outside, dog barking, it picks it up. This, you plug right into it. You can plug it right into your interface, and you can pick the acoustic IR you want, because it's basically like an acoustic guitar recorder in a studio with like a $10,000 mic, and it dresses it up. Go check out Pete Thorne's video on the Opus, and what he did when he did the stuff with the electric guitar, with the acoustic guitar, you can really tell the difference, and it was really nice. And you also have Wall of Sound, which is essentially Two Notes' like IR system, and it has reverb in it. You can change your IRs. You can connect it to your phone or your tablet, and you can kind of like work on it. You can do it like right there when you're at the gig. You can change the IRs. You can set it up. You can kind of like set your patches up. So it's kind of like a mini modeler, if you want to call it like that, like your Axe Effects, your Line 6, something like that. But it's very, very small. You only have a couple of amps in there. You also do have some bass stuff in there, so you have some bass cabs and IRs, and you can buy different IRs from the Wall of Sound library, which I think they're changing that name pretty soon, by the way. But Wall of Sound is just like the IR plugin you can use for your DAW, and you can buy the IRs from them. You can load them up on here. And for those who are just those just listening, they're showing it like on a tablet, and you can change it. You can actually, yeah, oh, that's awesome. So you can change like the amp settings right there from the two-note software, which is really, really cool. And this only costs $300. So this surprised me. So last week on our first episode, we talked about a certain preamp / distortion pedal, which I kind of want to rant about because it was from an amp no one really remembered. But one little preamp distortion pedal was $300. You get IRs and amp sims in one little box you can put on your pedal board for $300, just to kind of do a comparison there. And also with Opus, you can run a direct out, and you can run it right to front of house. So you have your front of house going, your IR going to front of house, it's coming back to your monitor. You can run it to your stage volume all right from your pedal board. This is super, super flexible. I personally wouldn't have a need for something like this. The only thing I would really use it for would be for the acoustic IRs, and maybe, well, not even the bass, but the acoustic IRs would be really cool. But this is like great if you're like, I would have a need for this if I like made a worship rig and I just had like a little pedal board and I could just bring this right to church, right to my worship setting, and like boot it up and change it. This would be absolutely fantastic for it. I don't really play in church anymore. I haven't done that in a few years. But this is great for it. This kind of just takes everything that they've done with the Cab M and all their IRs and their Dyna IRs. Dyna IRs just means you can kind of move it. You can move it around and get different sounds. It's not static. I think this is really cool. I think this is really great. It has lots of ins and outs. There's a lot of demos out there. I watched Pete Thorne's. Pete Thorne's was the one that stuck in my head because he did such a good job for it. I think this is really cool. I wish I was still going to NAMM, but I don't think I might be able to go to NAMM this year because I can't afford it. So I wish I could try this out at NAMM. But this is really cool. Check out the two-note Opus. And this is not sponsored, by the way. I'm big fans of two notes, use their stuff, but not sponsored or any way to cover it. I just came out and covered it. So the next thing I want to move on to is I want to talk about a plugin. We didn't cover any plugins last time, but Fabfilter, which they make excellent plugins. I use a lot of their stuff. They came out with Pro R2, which is their reverb. I haven't really messed with Pro R since I have a Valhalla and I use a Slade stuff when it comes to reverb. But they launched their brand new reverb plugin, and it is actually really freaking cool. So for those who are audio only, on the very top of the plugin, you have different, I'll call them knobs you can mess with. You have pre-delay, character, thickness, distance, space, brightness, width, ducking, and you have mix. So to me, the way they did this, it's the same interface as everything else, as their compressors and Pro Q3, which is their EQ. So you can actually EQ the reverb too right inside the plugin. You don't have to use a separate thing for it, a separate plugin for it, separate EQ to EQ it, which is really nice. And the way they set it up to me is it's a lot like a reverb pedal for a guitar, which I like because it kind of simplifies things. Go watch the demo on the Fabfilter site. The guy who narrates it has his name is Dan. His voice is awesome. It's way better than mine. I wish I had a voice like him. He's kind of very smooth like this. And he's kind of British too a little bit. And it kind of sounds something like this. Very soothing to listen to. Actually, that makes my vocal cords feel a lot better when I talk like that. See if I can do that. Anyway, getting back to the plugin. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. You also have width. You can duck it. Just watch the demo. The demo gives you so much cool things you can do. You have your plate reverb, you have your modern reverb. You have so many different characteristics. Now, I know there's a lot of good reverbs out there. I know a lot of people like to use free reverbs. But if you don't own any reverbs or you want to try something new, I would definitely suggest this because the stuff that it does is awesome. It's just I like the character and I like the knob that are on it. Anyway, while I'm thinking about this, if you're watching this on YouTube, go in the comments down below. Comment what's some cool favorite of your cool favorite reverb plugins that you use in your DAW. I just thought this was really cool because to me it's set up to where you can load it up and you can get the sound you want. You know, you go in there, you twist some knobs, boom, bam, boom, you're there. You can get nice, cool sounds, and all of the cool stuff is right in front of you. Is what I like. You don't really have to dig through the plugin. You have all kind of cool stuff in there. Oh, there's also this ice button. It's like a snowflake. Yeah, it's a snowflake on the actual plugin itself, and if you hit it, what it does is it like gives you like an infinite reverb tail, which is really awesome. It's a very nice and intuitive, thought out plugin, and I wanted to kind of go over because I thought it was really cool. So if you're in the market for a new reverb plugin, check out Fabfilter R2. Moving right along, the next topic I wanted to cover is Mr. Jerry Dines has launched, or it's finally came out. He did this Musician's Mansion a couple weeks ago. A couple of my friends actually went to it. Andrew Baina went to it. That's how I kind of found out about it. I guess he was posting about it. And basically what it is if you're young enough to remember this, I'm kind of dating myself. If you remember like Real World Road Rules Challenge, kind of like stuff like that, like you get a bunch of people together and like they have to like get on teams and do challenges and stuff like that. This is kind of what it reminds me of, but it's with like internet musicians. Austin Dickey is in there. They have Bradley Hall. They have the Toad Drummer Girl. They have Nick Nocturnal. Jared Dines and Angel Vivaldi are the two who are hosting it. And basically, Joseph Stalin's there too. Basically, the first episode is everyone gets on teams and he calls them bands, and they have to name their band, and they have to like write a song in a couple of hours, and they have to perform it in front of everybody. And then I just started watching the second episode, and in the second episode, they have to make a music video for the song that they wrote. And a lot of people online were complaining about it. They were like, "Oh, this is stupid. It's begging for views." I mean, I think this is actually nice because it's kind of new and refreshing. I mean, it's been done before, but it hasn't necessarily been done with YouTube musicians per se. And what's kind of interesting about it is a lot of pretty much everyone on the show, like they do stuff, you know, they're solo content creators, right? So they're solo content creators and they have to come in together and they have to learn how to work with people. Some of them are in bands, but a lot of them mainly do stuff like solo. So it's nice to see them getting together, and you know they have drummers and singers and then guitarists and basses. They kind of like switch out because like Andrew Baina mainly plays guitar, but he's playing bass for example. And you might actually meet some new musicians, YouTubers that you may like, and you may go subscribe to them because there's a few in there that I didn't exactly know, and I'm gonna go subscribe to them now because now they know them. I think the premise of it, it's just cool, and I really like the songs that they wrote. So Austin's band, which they call themselves Greystone, is what they call themselves. For those who are watching, I'm like flipping through the video. Their song was like really freaking like hard and like was like kind of like grindcore-y. It was really cool. I really liked it, and they ended up winning. Spoiler alert: they win the first challenge, so they get like $1,000 if they win the challenge, and they ended up winning. But it's every day there's a challenge, and I think Jared released all of the videos on his YouTube channel. Yeah, so far there's 5. I think that's the finale. I'm not 100% sure if that is the one, but on the 5th one, Stevie T is the thumbnail, and I think he comes to the mansion or something like that. It's 15 musicians in a mansion for a week is what Musician's Mansion is, and I think this is a cool idea. DistroKid and Sweetwater are the ones who put it on. I hope they do a season 2 because I think that it was really cool, and I want to see this done again because it's fresh. It's something new. It's not the same old music stuff that's on YouTube because sometimes it gets kind of be a drain. So Musician's Mansion, check it out. It's really cool. Some of it, you're gonna see. It's some of the, like the hosting was kind of a little dry, but I figured that was their first time doing it, hosting like that. But I'm sure it's gonna get better. Anyway, moving right along. Don't want to keep y'all here all day. Some wrapping up. I wanted to talk about one more thing. One more good thing, and then we're going to go into some music. So Blackline Audio just launched their new Revolution EXP, and that is an interface. It's an 8-in, 8-out interface. This interface is not for your like bedroom musician pretty much. It's kind of like a cooler interface if like you have a studio because you have like a macro MMC clock out, you have a world clock in. It has USB-C for firmware updates. You have 8, like I said before, 8-in, 8-out. It has ADAT on it, so you can kind of like extend. You can extend it. So if you have like your main interface, you can connect to this, and you can extend your ins and outs. I just kind of wanted to throw this in there because I thought it was really cool. They launched a small interface that I saw the other day that looked Really nice. It's there's a two. They have the 2x2. There's a 2x2 and you have a 6x6. So if you've ever used, a lot of people are familiar with the Focusrite Scarlett. So the Focus Scarlett 2 and Sapphire 6 is what I used to have. So they did launch those, and I found those very interesting. So I kind of wanted to talk about the Revolution EXP a little bit. And so if you're in the market for a new interface, check these guys out, because their stuff's really quality. They're out of New York. The interface of it looks very familiar, and they have like a meter on the front. Oh, and it shows you your input, like what you're recording at. It has the phantom power on the front. The instrument, it has all the physical buttons on the front, which I like. Talking about the 6i6. So if you're in the market for a new interface, definitely go check these guys out. Okay, so new releases. I kind of want to brag a little bit at the end. For those who are watching, I'm holding up my brand new Schecter 4 vinyl set. This came back into reprint really quick, and my friend tagged me on it, and I picked it up. Schecter is one of my all-time favorite video games. I just got into it just recently, like last year, I believe, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I've been on my samurai kick ever since. What games? Because I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, so I picked that up. I wanted to brag a little bit. Really excited about that. Now, some new releases that just came out on Friday. Now, I know Spirit Box and Silent Planet just dropped new stuff, and everyone was raving about that, but I'm gonna go a different route. Knight Rider Band. So if you like synths and 80s stuff, and you like gent, these guys are perfect for you. They actually don't really scream a whole lot. They have a lot of like clean stuff. It's like clean gent with synths in the background. These guys are great. So check out Knight Rider. It's just like the car from the 80s, just like the show. It's spelled like that. Their Knight Rider Band on Instagram. Check them out for some new jams. Dying Wish just dropped their latest. There's Dying Wish HC on Instagram. They're kind of like a return to like the early 2000s metalcore, if you're ever familiar with that. They sound really good. I'm really glad their full length finally dropped there. Been loving all of the singles. Go check out Dying Wish if you want some hardcore. And last but not least, my friend John, his girlfriend, just put out her new album, I think like last week. It's Feels Like Honey. If you like Taylor Swift singer, songwriter type of stuff, go check her out. That's going to be right up your alley. You just go check it out. It's really hard for me to describe, but it's really good stuff. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this week's podcast. Thank you, everyone, for coming in, checking out. Hopefully, I educated you on some new stuff. And, guys, I will catch you in the next podcast or the next video. So I'll check you later. Peace.